Good morning, and we are in Psalms 19 we've already covered, but we're going to cover these verses specifically to talk about the word of the Lord, and then we're going to do 29 as well in this. So we're talking about the word of the Lord is powerful, rejoicing the heart. In the Psalms, words like testimony, statutes, commandment, and judgments are referred to the word of the Lord. Keep this in mind as you read Psalms 19. What do these verses suggest to you about the word of the Lord? What does Psalm 29 teach you about his voice? In your experience, how has the word of or voice of the Lord matched these descriptions? That's a really good point, is to look at how many times have you had the word of the Lord, reading the scriptures or answers to your prayers, as match these different descriptions in some way. So let's go into 19. The way that it goes is I'll flip on there, and wow, okay, there we go. Now what I've done is I've marked some of these words in red. I didn't put judgments down, I missed that one, as we're talking about the voice of the Lord, so that we can, it pulls it out a little bit. And the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. A lot of times when we read these things, I think we could spend a long time in the scriptures just talking about it, and maybe you can spend more time in these. But think about that. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. I think is a beautiful thing to think about as we learn about how we make covenants or live the law of the Lord, and listen to his word and do it, how it converts us to become more like him. And of course, the testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. And I have been in testimony meetings where a simple testimony from someone who might be new in the church or might be still young or different things really are profound in their testimonies. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. Can you see how this just builds, and it's so beautiful? The statutes and the commandments of the Lord, rejoicing the heart and enlightening the eyes. The great thing about these that I really love is I feel that the joy that comes in it, the rejoicing. When we read the scriptures, do we rejoice in it? When we live the commandments, do we feel a joy in our hearts? And do we have, when we live the commandments, do we feel like our eyes are open a little more, and that we see things differently, and that the world is a better place? That's how we should be looking at the commandments of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is clean. And it didn't mention fear, but remember what I said. Fear is reverence and love. So if we think the love of the Lord or for the Lord or even love of the Lord for us is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold. So think about the word of the Lord and how more than anything is desired more than gold. Much fine gold is sweeter than honey. We talked about that a little bit a couple of days ago. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Often, as we read the scriptures, we see the signs of the times and all these other things. It's really important that we know that we can turn to the word of the Lord for these things that will help us out, both globally and individually. And now we'll go to Psalms 29. David counsels, and let's see. This is another Psalm of David. Give unto the Lord, Almighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Now notice how they say this. They say give, again, it's that repetitive nature of the poems. Glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in beauty of holiness. So we've mentioned give unto the Lord three times, and worship the Lord is put in there almost as the same thing as give unto the Lord. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. Now let's see how often they mention the voice of the Lord. The God of glory thundereth, the Lord is upon the many waters. So they mention that twice, and if we think about that again is something that is really interesting to think about, and we think about Christ walking on the waters and things, but it brings things to mind when you see these things. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. And I think it's important that we also remember when Joseph Smith prayed which church to join, they said don't to join any of them because they have a form of godliness, but they deny the power thereof. So are they denying the voice of the Lord, or is it too much of a stretch to see that the people were not listening to the voice of the Lord at Joseph Smith's time? And do we listen to it? Do we look to the power and the majesty of the Lord through his voice? And the voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars, yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Sirion, like a young unicorn or bull, is usually how that is. Interesting how he says make them skip. That sounds really joyful. You know, if you've ever watched a calf playing in a field or something, they like to run around and skip, basically, their idea of skipping. And how that would be like listening to the voice of the Lord. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. And if we look in the footnote there, it says speaks in the flames of fire. I do not understand why that does that. Every once in a while it does that. I don't get it. The flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. And the Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. Notice now, when he mentions one thing, he shaketh the wilderness. Then he mentions something very close to them, the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hinds to calve, and discovereth the forest. And in his temple doth everyone speak his glory. And I love that part, because it's been talking about the voice of the Lord. What about our voice? What does our voice do? It speaks his glory. And the Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people, and the Lord will bless his people with peace. I love that idea that he's going to give us strength and bless the people. And how's he going to do that? He's going to do it through his voice. That's what this whole thing was about, is him speaking to us as we read the scriptures, as we pray, as we listen to the Spirit. We are able to get that strength and feel his blessings upon us as we live those commandments that he gives through his voice. And I love the way that they talk about that. And hopefully what you get from this is a feeling of joy and love for the Lord, and how the scriptures and living the commandments and going to the temple can do that. And we'll see you next time.